Welcome to another episode of the Granite List Live, where we discuss all things related to employee benefits and human capital. I'm Lee Dill.
And I'm Sally Pace. And today we are joined by Carleen Haylett with Enriched HQ. And Carleen, I have a feeling, given the seat that you and Lee and I sit in as parents, we're going to talk about some things that hit really close to home. But I'm going to turn the mic over to you. Do you mind sharing with our audience a little bit about your background and what led to what is Enriched HQ?
Sure, happy to. First of all, thanks, ladies, for having me here. Really love working with the Granite List, so this is a special opportunity for me. You know, I think any parent is really going to be able to do a lot of head nodding here. Enriched HQ was born out of my own experiences as a single mother and a enterprise technology professional for 25 years. My son is 12, and really it just was an enough moment. I got to the end of my rope of trying over the last 12 years to put together enrichment programs for my son when he was not in school. And what it led to throughout the years was piecing together this crazy labyrinth of care and extracurriculars and nannies and babysitters and all sorts of things that I just felt that a strong wind and everything was going to come crumbling down. And so after 25 years in enterprise technology, starting as a developer all the way through managing large-scale sales campaigns, I knew that this was a problem I could solve. Even if I solved it just for myself, I needed something, and I knew every parent did. So I started Enriched HQ right before the pandemic, before the wheels fell off. And we are a marketplace of life skills building programs for kids that are grades 5 and up. So think about us as a live interactive version of MasterClass, but for juniors, right? So things that kids are not learning or getting access to in schools that better prepare them to thrive in, quote, real life. Things like financial literacy, how to do taxes, investing, entrepreneurship, specialized STEM like coding and instruments and so forth. And we work with corporations who provide it as a volunteer benefit to their employees as an extension of traditional childcare benefits. And that's how I got here, because I had had enough.
You mean of the Excel dance every summer to make sure that your child's time is accounted for, and then you hope and pray that the babysitter that has to be there for 3 hours doesn't call in sick?
Yeah, and I'm up here in the Northeast, so when there's even a smell of a snowstorm, I wake up in the morning and my first thought is always, oh, please, please, Lord, don't let it be a snow day.
We've had some moments like that around here, too.
You mentioned 5th grade and on. It's not for babies. This is for enrichment of middle school and on. So tell us, what is the difference? You know, there are a lot of other programs out there that offer quote unquote child care, but what is your differentiator?
Well, first and foremost, it's the focus on life skills. So if you look at the things that kids are not being prepared for, there are things like project management, some of the things I mentioned previously, they're just not getting in school. So that's one part that's different. The second part is focusing on kids that are grades 5 and up. So corporations that are really lucky to be able to provide, quote, childcare do so for the littles, right? Daycare, nanny, backup care, those sorts of things. But in fact, the largest population of kids for working parents in the United States by orders of magnitude are between the ages of 10 and 18. And so folks that work for companies that provide childcare have kids that are aged out, right? And so the benefits aren't valuable to them. And what they find is what we talk a lot about is this notion of the mommy tax, right? First and foremost, it's the money that families spend. Sally, you mentioned, summer camps and all of those things. The money that they spend for what largely feels like the right to have a job, right? I need my kid to be somewhere, or I want my kid to learn something, and I'm not getting support from my employer. Therefore, because I have to be at work or productive or so forth, I incur this incredible cost. And a lot of times, particularly around the summer months, it exceeds what someone might pay for daycare in various regions. And so we focus on how do we help employers support all of the employees that have children by providing them an extension of childcare benefits for older kids.
Thank you. So, how are you seeing employers promoting your solution to these employees?
Yeah, that's really great. So, one of the things that differentiates us as a marketplace is I think we all know that for parents to go out and find these activities, it's an internet rabbit hole. So our platform is a very exclusive invite only of activity providers
Mhm.
that we've done all the legwork. They're vetted, we check their backgrounds, we make sure they have the certifications, the curriculum, the teachers are certified. And so when employees come to our platform, they know that they're getting the best, right? And so, in conjunction with whether we're working with HR folks, talent folks, benefits folks, total rewards, we also work with diversity and equity folks who are supporting women. We do joint internal promotional items. So, on behalf of us, they will communicate directly to employees through their internal channels on special promos, exclusive events, what's new, what partners are being added, and so forth. We also align ourselves very closely with when corporations have family support groups, like women's groups, mothers groups, parents groups. We do lunch and learns for them. We also do quarterly, we'll host free exclusive content in conjunction with our partners. So we really work as a team with benefits providers to make sure that the employees are knowledgeable that this is available and getting the access that they need to the programs that they want their kids involved in.
What about the financial component? I can bear witness to how expensive summer care can be and year round aftercare for children. So, are you a program where employers are sharing in some of the cost, or is it a strict pass through to employees? What does that look like?
It varies by client, as it always does, right? But a couple of broad stroke examples are
Mhm.
so when a corporation engages with us, part of what they get as a client is all of their employees get a certain percentage off of all activities that are available. So out of the gate, we also do loyalty programs, referral programs that help the employees earn credits towards things. In some cases, employers are offering additional discounts for the delta cost of the program. We even have one or two that is utilizing their learning management funds that they set aside that's traditionally used for employees reimbursement to upskill and so forth. They've opened that bucket so that employees can get reimbursement for these programs that support their children. And then the final one is what you mentioned is that an employer may pre-purchase a bucket or a credit for employees when they join that they can use so that activities are free to them.
Mhm.
So it comes in a lot of flavors, just depending on how the corporation wants to bring this to the community.
And do you have minimums? Are there employer group sizes this is most appealing to?
Well, because of my background in enterprise technology, we initially focused on companies that were quite large, so enterprise size. We are seeing considerable amount of interest and traction in companies that are small and medium size, but we don't impose any sort of pricing restrictions on any size because, frankly, all parents are in the same place, right? Regardless of the size of the company. And all companies are struggling to retain employees, attract employees, promote themselves as family friendly employees. I mean, when you think about some of the studies that we're seeing recently, not only have so many women been forced, like myself, I was one of them, to choose, should I even work or is it even financially viable? And I was lucky enough to be able to make the choice to leave corporate America. But companies want to be able to position themselves as family friendly, and particularly around women re-entering the workforce post pandemic. And so we look at reports that indicate upwards towards 30 to 40% of women are choosing to leave or will change jobs in the next 12 to 18 months because of two major things. One is the first being the lack of flexibility, and the second being the lack of childcare support. So that is extremely expensive for a company to have employees leave, as we all know. So this helps them along the path of retaining those valuable employees.
Yeah, we talked a little bit before we started recording about how, the number one babysitter in America is Steve Jobs. And I think most moms can attest to thank God for, the computer or the iPhone or the iPad. But your platform offers so much more if they're going to be sitting in front of a screen, at least, they're learning something educational. Can you just tell us a little bit about some of the most popular courses on your platform?
You're absolutely right. I love Steve Jobs, not only his products, but the fact that, he got me through the toddler years with my sanity. That's particularly why we focus on school age kids because they're self-sufficient, right? And again, we focus on life skills because they're not learning a lot of things. So the things that we see that are really, really valuable are things around financial literacy is a huge one. How do I build a budget? What does it mean to pay taxes? We have one partner who runs a week-long challenge where kids compete against each other in an investing class to see who can figure out the best strategies. We do hackathons. We had one that we did for a global company where each region had a team of kids that competed against each other for the global hackathon. I don't know, hacker of the world or some, whatever it was. So financial literacy is one. Another big one is entrepreneurship, how to start a business, how to do a project plan, how to work as a team. Those are big.
It sounds like there are large chunks of time. So we're not talking like a 30-minute something where you can barely get in a Zoom call, but substantial amounts of time.
Yeah, it's actually a really good mix. And that's one of the things we use when we decide whether a partner is right for us is, do they have a good mix of multi-session items like a week-long camp or a semester, but do they also offer on-demand one-time things? Because the other thing that parents, which you'll attest to, is it gives me anxiety to sign my child up for a multi-$100 something only to find out that he hates it the second time he goes.
Yes.
I may get my money back, but it's this entire process I then have to go through to get it done. So a lot of our partners do one-time sessions, or for instance, we have one gentleman that I love who's an illustrator, and he holds this class called Drawing with Dots. And the whole premise is, if you think you cannot draw, I will show you that you can draw anything by starting with a single dot. And those are 1 hour sessions that he recurs weekly, and kids can come and go as they want. On average, the activities range about 25 to $40 per session. And then if they're week long, they just go out from there.
Two people that might be interested in getting in touch. One is those vendors that want to be on your platform, just in case anybody's listening for that,
Yeah.
as well as anybody, well, three, I would say, anybody who's listening that your marketplace might not be available to them through their employer. Do they have access? And then most importantly, the brokers and the employers who want to offer this benefit to their employees. Can you
Mhm.
touch a little bit on all of those of next steps?
So first and foremost, I can be reached at Carleen at enrichedhq.com. If you do a search for us, we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, all the channels you can even think of. We're there in some capacity. But for folks who are building solutions, particularly those that are addressing school core curriculums in a different way, there's so much great technology. And Lee, we were talking before the show. For me, it's relatively easy because I live this world of ed tech every day. But normal, everyday parents don't even know where to start looking for these things. Another example is social and emotional. We have partners that address bullying and transgender issues and things like that. So there's lots there. And if you're working in that space to support kids and their development, particularly school age kids, please reach out to me so that we can talk and get your distribution channel open for you. For availability purposes, the platform is available at enrichedhq.com for anybody. You don't have to be a part of a corporate program to go there. The perks that come along with corporate programs are great, but the platform is in fact available for anyone. Should there be employers out there who are looking to figure out very inexpensive and very fast ways to get support to overworked, stressed out parents, particularly mamas, this is a very easy way. Please reach out to me and we can talk about it. We have a number of pricing models, but essentially it comes down to what's equivalent of pennies per day per employee to get up on Enriched HQ and get your employees supported. And then independent brokers, agents, we are happy. My personal background in enterprise technology is in insurance, so I know a lot personally about that market and how the broker world works. So happy to be part of a package, happy to talk about what your clients are looking for and how we might slot into an overall cost structure. Carleen at Enriched HQ is probably the easiest and fastest way to get to me, unless you're in Vermont. So there you go.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, like I said at the beginning, this is a topic that is not only professionally important for employers to recognize, but personally for the two of us on today's show. Interviewing you, it's something that hits very close to home. So, Carleen, we are so delighted that you and your team are part of the Granite List. Thank you for sharing your story,
Thank you.
and thank you to our audience for listening.
you for listening to this episode of the Granite List Live. Access our entire library by visiting your favorite podcast venue or subscribe on our site, thegranitelist.live.